Hey guys, welcome back. This is Nightwolf53 back here again with another What If. This is what if Deku was the reincarnation of Luna and now Celestia. I will explain my reasoning why I have not been posting. More of my mind has forgotten what it was supposed to do and was more focused on money and work, which only happened on weekends, while the week I usually just jerked around and played games. But yeah, mostly don't mind. I'll try to get back on track unless my parents try to get me into a real job. But yes, let us start this what if. As where we left off with Zuku, he was in Miss Recovery Girl's office. He awakened to almost 6 hours later. But the surprise he got wasn't that it was already night. Well, the time showed that it was night. But the sun was still up. It was still at its peak for some reason, which confused a lot of pro heroes. Well, confused just a lot of people. What's going on? Why is the sun still out? Shouldn't the moon be up in the night? As a voice comes from his head. Yes, it should. It seems before when it was just me, Izuku. Or Lunar, my bad. It seems when I was only here with you, it didn't affect anything. It didn't affect the balance of both sun and moon. But with my sister here, she will go ahead and upset the balance due to her power over the sun. Meaning you'll be taking on a job both day and night. It will not be an easy one, I will say at that. With this new priority, you have a more important role than any hero or anyone on this earth. Your job comes at not just being a hero to save people, but to rise and set the moon. Two giant masses in the space above. Do you get where I'm going, Lunar? Yes, Luna. Good. It'd be harder to explain, but due to it being near almost 10, let us set this sun and let my moon have its reign for a while. Anyway, I will show you how to grasp on the sword. Focus your magic into one point, and focus more to the darker side of it. Not too far to where you're going into Nightmare or Daybreaker, but focus to a very specific point to where you are holding something like you would your books. But this magic will be a lot stronger. So be careful with how much power you put into it. You are going to have to put power into it, but do not put too much. Due to you having both me and my sister's power, this will cause destruction on a mass scale. Alright. As Izuku tries to imagine what Luna explains on grasping the moon, as a light blue light shines out around the moon, starting to move it towards upward, to where the sun is, as Celestia comes in. Sister, you must also remember, the sun must go to the other side to give the people their own light. You cannot move the moon without moving the sun. Focus on a larger part of your energy, on the more good side, but do not go dark with this good. Focus on the light that the sun provides. Grasp it in my side of magic, and move it as you move my sister's to the other side. As he tries to grasp this too, as the horn on top of his head was an entanglement of light blue of a more dark blue and gracious yellow. As it swirled and tried to combine together, both moon and sun were moving. The sun would move to the other side of the earth, as the sun would rise on his side, showing the amazing night sky it had brought with it. The people were astonished that the sun and moon, not did the earth move, but the sun and moon did. It was a weird phenomenon almost. The earth, which does move still, yes, but the sun and the moon have to, well, move on their own now to give the earth its light. It will not interfere with planets, of course, but it will interfere with earth. As after grasping and releasing the magic he had on the two objects, he gets on the ground and pants, as that is taking a lot out of him. Just to move the moon is a lot, but to move the sun and the moon at the same time is not an easy feat. As separate, it's a bit easier, but still hard. Moving them both is, well, it's like moving a black hole, something with near infinite mass, but has a mass to its own. Both very heavy objects, one a lot less heavier than the Earth itself, but one being more heavier and bigger than the Earth it is as well. As he tries to find a cup of water on top of his little desk right next to him, as he picks up and takes a drink. That's a lot better. As he's burning up from both sides, as that is a lot of magic to put in, with his horn glowing a reddish color due to putting a lot of magic into it. As Recovery Girl and I'm gonna say President might come in to see what the problem is on the student in there, since they got to register that he was moving again and immense power was coming from the room. As they were running towards the nurse's office, they saw that the sun went down and the moon came out, thinking that it was just an odd coincidence. But once they came in, they saw Lunar on the ground. Lunar, are you okay? I'm fine. I just had to do a job. What was it, kiddo? With the power of these two sisters, my job, as it was before, is a lot greater. I need a meeting with both Nezu, All Might, and Recovery Girl about this. President Mike, I would advise you not to come, since you will not grasp how immense this is. But since you are here to worry about me, I will allow you to bring yourself and Aizawa. I will be signing up for the hero class next year. Alright. Well, alright, listener. We'll go contact Nezu and get a room for a meeting with you. As President Mike ran out to get Nezu to set up a meeting with All Might himself, Eraserhead, Recovery Girl, and Izuku. Or Lunar, my bad. But yes, as Recovery stayed in there to check up on Lunar, as Recovery Girl checked up on him, he saw that the horn on top was still glowing a little red. So, how much power did you put into your horn, may I say? It was a lot of magic. It was a lot of power, I'll tell you that. But what I did was not an easy feat. If, to put perspective, the feat I've just done is greater than anything All Might could. Well, what was this feat that you accomplished? Well, we're going to be speaking about it in the meeting, but since you're the doctor and I'm going to be here next year, I guess I'd be best to explain to you what I am. Alright, sweetie. Go ahead and explain, as Recovery Girl gets comfy in her seat. Well, my power isn't a quirk. Well, far from it. Before, there was magic, but very little back in the world. It seeped from another world, but from there it was closed up again by two, well, other creatures. They were not human, per se. They were more of, well, the ponies. Ponies? What do you mean? Well, they had 3 different species. They had the Greek Pegasus, being they controlled weather and had special elements they were with. Unicorns, which controlled magic. And what they called ground ponies that controlled the earth. Not mentally, but they were very strong in their field. But came out of this were 2 sisters, a mix between all 3 species. They were called the alicorn species, almost like a king and queen type of, well, status to them, like princess or queen. Most of the alicorns came from female descent, since it was more common in their gene pool. But due to this, there were rare coincidence to where a male would become an alicorn. But in these rare events, they would be called prince and work right equally to the princess. And if ever engaged like from what I've heard, a other princess has done with her changelings, she was then called queen as well as her king. But the king sadly died in an accident, which was never recorded and was never found out on how he died. But she still remained queen due to her subjects being part of her line, of her bloodline. But most of them are princesses. I used to have only one of the reincarnations of these princesses. Her name was Luna. She was an alicorn with dark blue wings, and as All Might could say before, I had very dark night sky-like hair, which was odd, to say the least, because no one had hair just like that, where it flowed, or a horn that was dark blue, with a crescent with a black splotch on me. But after taking in one for all, from All Might, the transfer did not connect good enough, so Luna banished them out of me, sending it back to All Might. But since her sister passed away so years ago, she came down to find a new host. To find a host to have her power in and teach him the magic she did, just like her sister before her. But when she looked, she found her sister and went to join her, since a large amount of space was left open for her. So she set to fill it, which enlarged my magic pool. I had a decent grasp over Luna's magic, but with her sister, now I know as Celestia, they are both inside me, as I am now both their reincarnations. As you see, my skin has been mixed to where in the middle is a line to where the blue and white mix, but on the sides is where a black splotch is with a crescent, with dark blue skin. On the other, very white, pure skin, with a sun on it. And as you see from my hair, it has drastically changed from a night blue sky to almost a pink, dark, greenish aqua colors. It's nearly weird in how it mixes, but it flows other west, still seeing a river almost. It is almost like looking into a river of dreams, for say, to either the day or night of this. But once her sister Celestia came into me, there was a imbalance in this, well, space, for say. Back in their world, they had a job to do, both of them. They did not take on one job at a time. They were there for each other. And either after one sister's banishment, she had enough magic to control both of the jobs. And this job was not, well, for them it was an easier job since they were naturally born to do it. For me, it will be a harder, well, experience. Well, what is this job, Luna? Well, Luna actually was the ruler of the night. She raised the moon during the nighttime, while Celestia, her sister Celestia, did the opposite, the ruler of day. She can move the sun. As Recovery Girl stops drinking her tea and looks up at Zuko. Or Lunar, my god. Do you want me to call him Zuko or Deku, or just keep it Lunar? I'll be honest. But yes, as Recovery Girl looks at Lunar, which is still Deku. So, with you having both sisters, you have to, yes. My job is now not only to save people in their dreams, but to basically rule over day and night. I have to move both the sun and moon at my own will. I can move them whenever I want, yes, but to keep it in a cycle, to keep people awake and asleep, is where I'll be doing most of my work. Yes, it'll go into hero work as well, but most of my work for extreme magic and trying out will be in the mind space, in a space of mind, or moving these two gigantic, well, masses to make sure the day and night cycle stays the same. And as Recovery Girl is trying to understand very hardly on how this could be, no quirk could just move the sun and moon at the same time. No quirk could just move the moon, for say. Heck, the ground of the Earth can be moved, but that's manipulation of Earth, not of the entire planet. As she's sitting there discussing what she needs to talk about with Nezu on this, as both Recovery Girl and Luna are called into the meeting with Nezu, All Might, Aizawa, and, oh god, Present Mike. So, Luna, why did you want this meeting with us? Well, Principal Nezu. Well, Mr. Nezu, it's just that due to this engagement with All Might, I do not contain the power that was once there. We will explain this power to you soon, President Mike and Aizawa, but first we need to explain, I think, All Might's power first before we go on to what's happening with Izuku. Lunar, my bad, god darn it. But yes, we will explain to you what All Might's quirk is. All Might's quirk is not of his own. It comes from the past users of it, from the dawn of quirks. Its name is called One for All. It could be transferred from user to user from DNA. It was supposed to go to its ninth user, as Lunar Midoriya, called Izuku still, but for some reason, his own power interfered with it. As we checked before, that he does not have a quirk, but yet he has power. And due to this, we need Izuku Lunar to explain his power and what has gone on. Lunar, you can go ahead and take the stage. Alright, thank you, Nezu. So, my power is called magic. And he has explained everything that he's already explained to Recovery Girl already in the office. As he finished up his explaining. So, any questions? As Nezu raises his hand. Oh, Nezu, what do you need? So, with controlling the sun and the moon with these two powers, how much magic do you think you have? Well, if I can control both of them, then it should be enough to, well, easily pull around the Earth, or spin it faster. But I don't know the extent of the magic I have, since combining the two has, well, increased their powers a lot, each one complementing the other, even though being opposites. As Eraserhead had to ask as well. So, with your magic, could it be affected by other quirks? From what I'm getting at, my magic is not affected by quirks at all. Quirks and magic are two different things. Quirks are disabling the DNA and the person, making sure they cannot use their quirks. While magic is a completely different entity. It is still in my DNA, just it cannot be disabled. It is a lot stronger than any quirk. And it even flows throughout my bloodstream, infecting both red and white blood cells, making me a more stronger, faster, and more agile person. As you've seen before, I do not look, well, like Mr. Muscles or All Might here, but I am very dense inside of my own body, due to having two, as I've explained, alicorns inside of me, since I should be really good at pulling large things now, and my average strength has probably increased near tenfold due to adding a ruler of day to my other tenfold of ruler of night, since they'll both be strong with each other. Alright, well, before you had Celestia, how much could you haul around? Well, with my strength increasing by tenfold each time, my highest at base was around 2 to 3 tons, but that was barely pushing it. If I pulled out max strength into it, put my whole real oil grease into it, I could reach to up to 10 tons. But timesing that by 10 and the effort I'm still going to be putting into UA, my estimate for both of them and my own strength at its base to where I barely do anything is going to be at possibly around maybe 50 tons or even 25 tons, between that little margin. But my max, increasing it, if to still be going on, then I would have to estimate either around 150 or 200 tons, which is a lot. Which they are very surprised about, since their giant robot only weighs about 75 tons. And with this increase in strength, he could pick it up and crush it easily. He could topple skyscrapers with a single punch and match All Might in a fist-to-fist combat. That's not including the other things he could do, like controlling both light and dark, since sun and moon. With this magic, he can evade beams, heal wounds. There is so much he could do with his magic since it is so diverse. But what are we supposed to do to counter against this? Well, we can only hope that no more entities come into this world Eraserhead. And from what I've heard, there are some entities that are stronger than these two. The two I have. Put together, these two are immensely strong. And I mean significantly. But what I'm getting from them, there was only one entity that is equal or stronger than them. But he can only live in their world due to his magic. Or, well, not magic as they're saying. More of chaos. This entity is a Draconiquid, a mix between animals. A lot of animals. And its magic is chaos. It can manipulate the world around it at its own will. It can make rain turn into chocolate milk. It can make clouds be made out of cotton candy. It could do so many things. But that's how powerful it is. But with some certain items, these two were able to turn it to stone with a few elements, putting magic through them and amplifying their magic by 1,000,000 times. And if you're asking me why I said 1,000,000 times, think about Discord. He can manipulate anything around him, the space, the time, anything around him. You're going to need these two together with the elements to just defeat him. But with the increase in magic there, in Discord, of course, using his magic for good now in their world and being married to Fluttershy, it's kind of just out in the open over there. So Discord's not a problem anymore. That's good. Well, is there anything else I need to know before we can release you? Yes, there is one. As not even a student of UA, I will be having to control both day and night cycles. I'm going to have to, reserve some magic to move both of them. That means before I go to bed, I will be setting up the moon. And when I wake up, I will raise the sun. It will be a day and night cycle always. But remember this. Out of everything here, I am probably the most dangerous person and weapon on this earth. Not even All Might himself could stop me. As he looks at the muscled hero. Agreed, Nezu explained. You can go ahead and leave. As Suzuku left the meeting room, the others would have to talk. So, the entrance exam will be coming up in a year's time. Since he is thinking about joining UA, it will be best to go ahead and actually have him in. Yes, having him in will be a better choice. So, what do you think will be the best choice to give him an actual entrance exam? Well, from what I'm getting at is that we're going to have to, do some changes to his test. But for now, he will have to wait until we find out what tests to give him before the entrance exam gets here. We have 1 year, people. We need to find a way to really show off, to really make sure he is worthy to be in UA. From his power alone, he is already, and his smarts as well. But he still needs to pass the exam, even by its own recommendation, which I would personally give him. But from what you're telling me, All Might, he wants to prove himself. I hope you're right, Nezu. Yes, me too, All Might. I just hope that the kid doesn't lead anywhere else except the light itself. I want him to be something of good, but not evil. If he ever turned to the dark side, All Might, the world would collapse within a week, or a day, even that. There's nothing we could do if he ever went down that path. Yes, sir, Mr. Nezu. Now, let us get back to work. We still need to figure out what other robots we can put in there for the kids this year. As they walk off to the entrance exam, or to prepare for the entrance exam in a year by building robots for that exam, Azuka would walk home thinking about how UA is going to be. But he remembers that his bully is going there too. And he starts to think on whether or not he should go. Like, it's good to face your problems, but it's always good to avoid them. That's in human nature, right? Of course, dear. Huh? Celestia spoke up. Avoiding one's problems is good, since you have the option. You can become a better person than he is. And whenever he messes up, it'll be on his hands, and he doesn't have to take the anger out onto you, poor one. My sister is right. Luna speaks up. It is usually better to avoid them than to face them. But in the coincidence that me and my sister had, it was worse. It would have been better to face this problem with her than to avoid it. But from your standing, if you went to a different school, it would be a better, choice than going to the school with him. But UA's always been my dream school, and yes, it has. But that is only because of its higher authority above everything else. It's its top hero school, yes, but that doesn't make it any different from the other hero schools. I will give you an example. Back in my time when I was still in Equestria, I founded the Special Unicorns Academy, with unicorns with special abilities and strong magic attended. It was like every other school. It had improvements here and there, but every other school had the exact same thing that my school did. But since it was my school that I was running, everyone thought it was special and tried to get into it. One of my favorite students, her name was Twilight, and she was an excellent student. But she couldn't stay with me forever as her leader or guide. I had to bring her to a place and send her off into a little town called Ponyville, to where she made friends there. You can always follow your role models and where they went, but sometimes following those role models can leave you into solitude, which she did. I do not wish for you to go down the path she did, since the first heart was mostly her being alone, as yours has been as well. If anything, I believe that you should go to that other school that is only second best, but still just as good as UA was. Alright then. I'll see if it'll be better to go there. As he would get home and check out the two ones he was looking at, the two high schools he would go to. On one side he had UA. On the other, how do you say the other name? Kinketsu High School? It's the other high school where Cammy and all of them are at. Oh, Emma's joke. Almost forgot her. They're not different at all, but one has a bigger budget than the other. But they both get out very great heroes. If Bakugo's going to UA, then maybe going to Kinket... I don't know how to say it. I'll find out how to say it. Kinkensho High School probably will be better. Better option, since I'll be able to have a fresh start there, meet newer people, and even find out a way to, well, have a better life over there than with my old, well, not even friend, bully. And I don't know if he's going to make them turn on me as he did the others at Aldra. The Suzuku thing weighing more on to the other high school instead of going to UA. But his decision will have to come soon, since the time skip would skip only 11 months, or 11 months, 3 weeks, and only having a week left until his final decision, until both entrance exams were needed. Yes, I just did a time skip at the end to when the last week until the entrance exams are open, as he still had to ponder and put in pros and cons of each school. But the decider would have to come soon, as that is where I will end it off for today. Yeah, sorry for being out for a while. I was kind of just bored and sat around my house. But yeah, like, subscribe if you want to, and hope you like the video, and bye.